Across the tracks. Across the tracks. It's time to go. We're going across the tracks. Mudfoot Mike McDonald and the Muckrakers.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Very good. Let's start with that. Mudfoot. What's that from?
That's a good story. I was doing a show out in Trois-Rivières, Quebec, and we were walking towards the club. It was March, so spring, but still quite cold. We're talking about Quebec, and we're wandering through the back way to get to this club to do our show. And the hotel was basically 5 minutes away from the venue. And we're walking through the back, and we were stepping over parking lots, hotels and stuff like that. And I stepped onto a chunk of ice, which I thought was a chunk of ice. It was white, looked extremely solid, and it was between two cement abutments between parking lots. And I stepped on it, and my foot went right up to my knee in mud. And we're on our way to the gig. It was now like 4 minutes before showtime. So we had to go and do the show. And I looked at I was with the bass player, Corey Williams was his name. And I looked at him and I said, Mudfoot. He looked back at me and said, Mudfoot. That's where it came from. Just out of the blue. There I was trying to brush the mud off my pants before I went on stage for the first show. And it stuck.
Uh-huh.
After that, hey, Mudfoot, how you doing, buddy? And then that's where it came from.
All right. So you're in Quebec.
Yeah.
Where are your roots? Where are your high school years spent?
My high school years, basically in Toronto, of all places, yeah. I mean, I was born in Halifax and then moved out to, my father was in the Navy, and he finished off his years recruiting in Toronto. So I lived in de Havilland, right next to the air base. We used to have to get little passes to go to the movies on the de Havilland air base back then.
Mm-hmm. You've brought in a handful of songs here.
Yes.
These are all originals. Most of them are originals.
Yes.
And they're blues tunes. So you're going to give me an education on the blues, what kind of blues there are. If this is Chicago blues I'm listening to, or if I'm listening to Memphis blues, I'm sure you'll let me know as we go through that. And every great blues writer has to write about trains, so that's the first song I'm going to go to is Whistleblowing. And I want to know why trains and the blues worked for you, and why does it work for the blues in general?
That was a song that came about. I was playing with a fellow by the name of Jerry McAdam at Grossman's Tavern, which is, if you're in the blues world in Canada, pretty much everybody knows where Grossman's Tavern is. I wound up doing house gigs there for years and years, running jams and so on and so forth. Anyways, it started there, and it started with that guitar lick, dun 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 da da dun 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 da da, and it really sounds like a train starting up, and that's where it came from. The concept of train in the blues is more so like I've got to get out of this town, or I've got to get to the next town. If you're a working musician in the southern states back in those days, you weren't always welcome. So getting out of town was a good thing. I'm getting on that train. I'm leaving that train. Or the opposite, your spouse, your partner, or whatever, was taken away by train. And more often than not, that would be Hubie Ledbetter winding up in prison and so on and so forth, thrown on a train and taken to a prison. So it has a lot of bearing in the blues folklore aspect. This one is basically focused on a partner being taken away and then hoping that the partner comes back.
When get my baby back again. I hear that whistle blowing, train rolling round the track. Hear that whistle blowing, train rolling round the track. It's gonna be alright when I get my baby back. Took my baby and left me standing here. Down the track, hear that whistle blowing, train rolling down the track. Feels so good, you know, to get my baby back. Come on, bring my baby home now.
We just grabbed a coffee before we came here, and we were talking to another elder, let's say, and he was saying, do any of the young people listen to the blues? And it's rare. It really is. It takes some life experience to get to that place in the blues. But when did you start feeling that as a musician? Because musicians aren't waiting until later in their career to become blues musicians. They're blues musicians essentially when they pick up the guitar. That's what they... Give me your story.
Well, actually, the first thing I learned when I picked up a guitar was Ruby Baby by Dion.
Okay.
And it was on the radio at the time. And I learned how to play it. Well, I call it a Jimmy Reed lick. And if you know anything about Jimmy Reed, he played dun da 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 da, the Jimmy Reed lick. And it's on that record, Ruby Baby. It's on thousands and thousands of records. That one particular type of lick. Good. The Odd Couple. Yes. It's in every kind of music, literally. But it's a very simple lick. It's really easy to play. Blues, by and large, generally speaking, is about simple playing and expressing yourself through words, singing the words. It's not about fancy guitar playing or any of that stretch. And it's about emotion, too. So the vocalist, you may notice that when B.B. King sings, he doesn't play guitar. When he plays guitar, he doesn't sing. He does one or the other, but not really both together. Very rarely would you ever see him do that. Geez, I could go on and on there. That lick started it all for me. And then when I found out that it came from the blues world, well, then I automatically switched over and went, who the hell is this Jimmy Reed guy?
You're a teenager at this point, I'm guessing.
Yeah. No, I'm just a puppy then. Yeah. I'm like maybe 12 or 13 years old.
Of course, the music, blues, is at the roots of everything. Rockabilly, of everything. Of rock and roll, metal, all of it. And there must be a challenge, though, in writing, because blues to the untrained ear seems so done. Like, how do you sound new in it? Where's the challenge there for you when you put pen to paper and you're writing a song that you say, how am I going to make it different?
I think it's a matter of exposing yourself to different influences there. Pardon me, more so than trying to be unique or different. Just let different influences get to be part of your writing. It makes more sense to just write what's on your mind and then see how you play to it, and vice versa. Some people write choruses first, some people write verses. Some people compose on their instrument and then add words later. So it's just a matter of how and where it happens.
That's interesting.
There's no specific formula for that to be, at least I can't see that.
You have a couple of instrumentals here, and Valerie, as I was listening to Valerie, I said, wow, I'm hearing influences in there. There's 2 or 3 different things going on there. You tell me about that song. I wasn't sure if that was an original or if you had some bluesified that Mark Ronson song.
No, it was original. It was basically based on a woman that I fell in love with. And then we parted, of course. Heartbreak comes with the blues, as we all know. And at the time, I was very much influenced by the Allman Brothers and Dickie Betts, who has just passed recently. And the song is basically a tribute to, one, Valerie, the missing love, and two, to the Allman Brothers and Dickie Betts. It was the irony of it, him just passing this past week. It sort of struck me, because the first thing I thought of was, I wrote that song for him in a lot of ways, because I really loved his playing. And they were advanced players. They were not just simple Jimmy Reed players. They were up there. But it's all blues influenced. And the Allman Brothers were a huge influence on so many musicians, so many guitar players for sure. And vocally, Greg Allman, Greg was the vocalist. That his voice was killer. Can you imagine getting that in your head and trying to sing like him? It's like, not a lot of people tried. Some people make it. I can think of a few that did it. Did I wander off the track there?
No, not at all. couple of things here. I want to know if these are new songs or if these are coming out of the vault that they're listening, and talk to who the band members are, who's playing on this.
That particular recording was band members from Kitchener. That's out of the vault. That particular copy that you have is definitely out of the vault. There was a guy named Randall Coryell who used to work with, toured with Tom Cochran and Alana Miles. Bass player is a guy named Al Richardson who worked extensively with Mel Brown. Myself, of course. Keyboards, John Lee, who came up through the Halifax connection with Dutchie Mason. Let's see who else. Myself and Pat Rush on guitar, who came up. I met him after he came to Canada with the James Cotton Blues Band, and actually met him in Montreal playing with Buddy Guy. So those are the characters on that record, or that cut.
And that's you on vocals.
Valerie doesn't have vocals.
No, Valerie doesn't, but
No.
On the rest of the album.
Oh, on the rest of the album, I was speaking specifically about Valerie. I'm doing all the vocals. Yes.
Yeah, I figured as much there.
Mm-hmm.
And you've always been a singer as well?
No, I didn't start out to be a singer, and just out of necessity, I started singing. If you wanted to work or at least try to survive in the musical world, you have to be a singer. You have to be a person that can go up front and talk to the audience and sing songs that people like to hear. So I just started there. My best training actually was when I went out on the road with a Creedence Clearwater tribute and learned all of the CCR material and how to sing that. And that was a lesson and a half, learning that material. And then you apply that to everything you do. It really helped a lot. I worked with Hawk Walsh. I don't know if you know Rick Walsh. He was the original singer in Downchild. He's Mr. Flip Flop and Fly. And working with him, it was neat listening to his voice and trying to sort of mimic it on the side. You learn all these nuances from all these different singers. So I made a point of filing all of that, so I would have it in my toolbox, basically.
Your version of Put a Spell on You,
Mm-hmm.
Jay Hawkins, I believe, right? The original.
Screamin' Jay, yeah.
A little bit of Jay Hawkins in there, but I certainly hear the Fogerty.
It's the Fogerty, because that one is one of the ones that I really dug it. We were on a tour. We were in the States. We were in Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina, I believe it was. And the band had the night off, and we were touring with a big show at the time, and the rhythm section. And there was 4 of us in the band, and some singers. And I said, let's go find a jam somewhere. To me, jamming is everything. That's how you learn stuff. You get thrown under the bus, and when you come out, you're a little scratched, but you know something more than when you went under, kind of thing. And we found this jam downtown. It was in the black neighborhood. We were all Canadians, and me, I don't care. I've got a very diversified family tree. We went in. We had to pay a cover charge to go in. And I went right up to the band and started talking. Hey guys, I got these guys, and blah blah blah. Can we, sit in and do some stuff? And they said, yeah, sure, man, no problem. Blah blah blah. So I went there and I did the Jay Hawkins version, and it was hilarious. I turned into Jay Hawkins for that particular moment, and all of a sudden we won the room. It was great. We won the room, and it was like, hey, I want to have some drinks, and we partied, and the guys in the band, we left later and was just, wow. I'm amazed at what happened there last night, talking about it the next day. It was the Jay Hawkins tune that got us in the door. And I did it as nuts as I could. I was walking up into people's faces and doing the and all that. And he just looked at me and said, this white boy's crazy. Had a ball.
Yeah.
And again, I learned something there. There's another tool in my box that I can use when appropriate.
I put a spell on what you do. Watch out, I ain't lying. Yeah, you better watch your put me down. You better watch your moving it around. I put a spell on you. Oh, because you're mine. Leave that guitar. Because you're mine. You better watch what you do. Watch out, I ain't lying. Yeah, you better watch your put me down. You better watch your fooling around. I put a spell on you. Oh, because you're mine. Watch it now.
Yeah, one of the great things about the blues is they do honor the greats. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
you've already fired off so many names, and you don't hear that a lot in the other genres. But blues, they do that, and that's one of the things that I love as a non-musician. And I'm going to go listen to some Jimmy Reed now. You had mentioned it earlier, and to pick off
A
because
bright lights, big city, gone to my baby's head.
yeah,
Right off the bat.
yeah, and so you just told a great story there about Carolina, and you got another great song on there, Hawk's Groovin Bar Cafe. Is that a real place?
It is a real place. We actually, the engineer and I, we went online one day and we found one. It was just a rundown old building, but it had that title there, and we started laughing. I wrote that out of it was a tribute to Hawk Walsh and Downshall Blues Band, basically. And if you listen to it, I'm mentioning all the names of the people that were in that band back. Well, this is way back to Grossman's Tavern days, where they literally played Passing the Hat. Jane Vasey is mentioned, and Cash Walling was the drummer. Jim Milne, bass player. Anyways, when I was playing with Hawk, and we had this sort of ongoing jam at a place called the Pine Tree in Toronto, and I did other shows with him, of course. And whenever he was a consummate frontman. But as a frontman, you're up there in front of an audience, and every once in a while you draw a blank. You know, you don't have a set list in front of you because you're reading and playing to the audience. The set lists quite often fail when you're working with an audience because what you thought was going to work didn't work that night, or this particular song flopped, whereas it was great last night at this last venue. So flying by the seat of your pants is my thinking is the way to go, because you're playing to the audience and you're playing with the audience rather than telling them this is what you're going to listen to. I've had discussions about that attitude before, but with Hawk Walsh, he'd get up there and you could see where he was having a moment where he wasn't quite sure what to do, and he'd turn around to the band. Play Hawk's Groove. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Dun 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 dun. Right? We'd start playing that. So that's the lick in that. That's the lead lick in that song. And I thought, well, yeah, here's a tribute to Hawk Walsh. Very interesting character. He died on New Year's Eve with his remote control in his hand watching TV. And they had to break the door down to find him, and he was supposed to be at a gig that night. And that's how it went. And I went, that's Hawk. He was in his easy chair with his remote control in his hand watching TV when he passed. You know, bless him. What a character and what an influence on so many people. He was followed by Tony Flame, who had since passed, and there's a whole crew that, along with the Downchild thing. It was Donnie Walsh that kind of turned me on to Grossman's Tavern and the Colonial on Yonge Street back in the day.
Forget about your problems, save them for a rainy day. Wash away your troubles, watch them all melt away. Nobody has a worry down at Hawk's Groovin Bar Cafe. Mama's in the kitchen cooking up a thrill. Ribs are on the barbie and chickens on the grill. Biscuits in the oven, rising real slow. Gravy starts to bubble, it's almost time to go. Nobody has a worry down at Hawk's Groovin Bar Cafe. On the counter saying his hellos. Dawn is waiting tables as fast as she can go. Sid is greeting people and eyeing up the door. Rocky's telling stories and people wanting more. Nobody has a worry down at Hawk's Groovin Bar Cafe. Wash away your troubles, watch them all melt away. Toss away your problems, save them for a rainy keyboards and Jimmy's on the bass. Cash is pounding drums and he's shaking up the place. Donnie's on the guitar making a funny face. Hawk is on the vocals singing tunes with grace. Nobody has a worry down at Hawk's Groovin Bar Cafe.
You're a part of the blues. I mean, the history of the blues in Canada.
I was getting my face into a lot. I was young and I was really ambitious in as much as a lot of people kind of stayed at home. I wasn't that way. I just wanted, look, there's all this stuff going on all over the place. I would go out. I'd go and talk to people, meet people. Hey, can I sit in with you guys? Can I sit in? I would drag my super reverb and my guitar on a streetcar in the subway and go to clubs downtown Toronto just so I could join in. Morgan Davis was one of the guys that was always welcoming for me. He said, you want to sit in? You come on and sit in. You just, word of advice, stay out of the way. Like, don't be stomping on me. And blues people out there in the audience will know that how many harmonica players have jumped up on stage and started playing their heart through the vocal mic and killing everybody in the room. You don't do that. You have to know your place, get and sit in, and when in doubt, lay out kind of thing.
Mama, don't you lean on me. Don't you lean on my peace of mind in store for me. You know, I've had more than enough of all your low-down love. Well, I'm a cutting loose and I'm a drifting free. So mama, don't you lean on me. Don't you lean on my mama. Lean on my mama. Oh, lean on my mama. Lean on my mama. Oh, lean on me, mama. Lean on me, mama. Oh, lean on my mama. Lean on my mama. I got enough responsibility. So mama, don't you lean on me. I said, mama, 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 don't you lean on me. I said, mama, 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 don't you lean on me. I got enough responsibility, so mama, don't you lean on me. Let's go.
I'm talking about tired of the same old rut, because it seems to me like you don't get tired. There is no same old rut to you. You have an ability to see it freshly every time out. How do you do that?
Again, it's that bug inside me. I just want to go and make music. I mean, I understand all the other aspects of show business and so on and so forth, and I very much enjoy getting up in front of an audience and entertaining them and being the narcissist that every musician is and enjoying that part of it. But I'm driven. And the driven part is the fact that I love being wrapped in music. And people around me, when I'm playing with great players, it's just there's a rush there that's better than anything else. You get to play, and Keith Richards described Charlie Watts as his cloud, because Charlie just had this drum pattern. They got along so well, and once they started playing together, everything goes out the room. You don't see anything anymore. You're having way too much fun. You're wrapped in that cloud, and that's music. Searching for that keeps me going. Mm-hmm. So if I run out of, if the path comes to an abrupt end, I'll look for another path. She had a wicked shot, she had the right eye. She'd win all the money from all the guys. I'm gonna tell you a story about a man named Bill. He used to drive a rig down a great big hill. Every night about 5:30. Old Bill jumped in his rig and died. Tired of the same old rut. I'm leaving here like it or not. I ain't coming back here, I'm coming back no how. I'm tired of the same old
dancing in the bars. All the biker boys say she'll go far. She danced to the east and she danced to the west. She never found a man that she liked best. She said, tired of the same old rut. I'm leaving here like it or not. I ain't coming back here, I'm coming back no how. I'm tired of the same old rut. I'm leaving here like it or not. I ain't coming back here, I'm coming back no how. Same old rut. I'm leaving here like it or not. I ain't coming back here, I'm coming back no how. Then one night about 6:15, old Bill found himself a great big fix. At the bottom of the hill, old Bill hit the brakes right in his wheel. Crashed through the center and he screamed up his side. Jumped out, kissed the ground, said, thank God I'm alive. Tired of the same old rut. I'm leaving here like it or not. I ain't coming back here, I'm coming back no how. Of the same old rut. I'm leaving here like it or not. I ain't coming back here, I'm coming back no how. I've been down that road before, and I won't go that way no more. I've been down that road before, and I won't go that way no more. I've been down that road before, and I won't go that way no more. I've been down that road before, and I won't go that way no more. 'Cause I'm tired of the same old rut.
Rolling Stones obviously have impacted you. Give me a Rolling Stones story. You've seen them.
Yeah, I've seen them.
I bet you have.
It just, at first, I was very much into the blues. Once I got sort of turned on to it, I was very much into the blues thing. And Big Bill Brunsey and Washboard Sam and that kind of stuff. Because some of my friends in the circle I was living in, their parents were collectors, and there was a lot of blues albums floating around. So I would be going in and, hey, can I play this? Can I play that? And the Stones came along. I was being influenced at that time by the East West album, Mike Bloomfield and Alvin Bishop, when they were doing that back and forth guitar stuff.
Give me a year.
And
give me a year.
Oh, mid-60s. I'm not all good on numbers sometimes.
Yeah, that counts. Mid-60s is good enough.
Yeah, close enough. And Eric Clapton was coming out, and Hendrix had come out, and this is all in the late 60s where everything was just starting to mushroom. that whole event, and the Beatles had died down, and all these new artists were coming out. I sort of ran away from the question there now. That was the big influence for me. I would say that Clapton was there, but then I found Mike Bloomfield, and I listened to both of them and realized they both sound the same. Like, oh, well, this is the guy from Chicago and this is the guy from England. They both sound the same. And then Hendrix kind of drove a bulldozer right through the center of all of that, and kaboom, psychedelic blues came along. It was like, holy smokes, here we go. And listening to Manic Depression all of a sudden, where the hell did that come from? That's not a 3-chord song. So the influences were just, I was overwhelmed at that point. There was just so much going on. So I'm trying to grab stuff from all over the place and, learn this lick and learn that lick and, learn the intro to this.
You didn't hear a word I said. You were fussing with your eyes, doing your nails, your fingers in your hair. I saw you at the club the other night. You didn't even know I was there. You were dancing real close, kissing his neck, acting without a care. So please, don't treat me like a sucker. Oh, please, don't treat me like a sucker. Well, you're saying this, and I'm saying that. Gonna tell you just where it's at. Time to tell you the truth. You don't wanna hear it. I don't care. Let's just do it. So please, don't treat me like a sucker in the street. Ah, please, don't treat me like a sucker. You know I love you. Please understand. I know I hurt you. I'm doing the best that I can.
Don't Treat Me Like a Sucker, and mix vocal style. And
Yeah.
So that song there, I mean, it's a tribute to the Stones.
That is definitely a tribute to the Stones, and the reasoning for that, again, this goes back to Grossman's Tavern. That particular song came from, again, with this guy, Jerry McAdam, that I was playing with, and I carried all these licks in my head for years. And, you know, it's sometimes you can write a song, but nobody cares. Nobody's really interested. And it's not the right people, it's not the right time. That song came up, or that lick basically came up after listening to a ZZ Top record. The song is Francine by ZZ Top. That ba bo da da. And I lifted that lick, and then of course they go off in a different direction. So do I. And then I wound up working a Rolling Stones show with a guy named Glenn Peltier down in Kitchener, who had been in a Rolling Stones band years and years ago. He came and sat in, and I said, "Oh wow, you do the Mick Jagger thing?" And I said, "Oh yeah." And I remembered that we had met on the road years and years before, and I came and helped him out. He had a broken leg, so me and the other guitar player in the band I was with, we went on stage and picked him up and carried him around so he could be Mick Jagger during his performance, just out of the blue. I think there was alcohol involved. Had a lot of, so time went on, and we met again and decided, okay, well, we'll put that show together. We do so many gigs a year, and I do it, again, it's for fun. And then I discovered Keith Richards. Up until that point, I never really saw Keith Richards as being a dynamic guitar player. I was looking at Hendrix and looking at Bloomfield and looking at Eric Clapton and you name it, all these other people that came along. I sat down and started learning the Keith Richards guitar parts for all of these tunes. And of course, I had the first and second Rolling Stones album when I was a teenager, so I pretty well knew all of those and learned them, and they were very blues based. So that was simple. I knew those songs and so on and so forth. But then, as he developed his G tuning and the tuning styles that he used, I would sit down and try to learn this song and go, how the hell is he doing that? And then I have to change a tuning to get to that part and how the hell he did that. As a matter of fact, I just came across another little lick that escaped me up the intro to Can't Always Get What You Want. That's a unique, it's a tuning thing as well. It's in the key of C, and there's this, sounds like a 12-string, but it's not. It's just a regular guitar, but there's a 12-string sound in there, and I finally figured that out a couple of days ago. I was fiddling around, wait a minute, that's it right there. Oh. And as I delved deeper, don't overcomplicate. If anything, simplify your approach to whatever he's doing, and you get it. If you try to overcomplicate or introduce extra notes and so on and so forth, you're never going to get it. He's very simplistic and very unique, and it's definitely his style. So that took me on a tangent as well. There's a quote from Jimi Hendrix that says, music, not just, I learned from every style of music. That's how you learn music.
Yeah. You're always looking for, the other song I wanted to talk about is looking for something that you can't have. Come On Baby. Remember in the lyrics, you want, and you know you can't have it, but you still want it. Whether that's a guitar style or a woman or the last woman that you had and you let go and you want her back, or
sounds like you played the blues too.
Well, we all live the blues, I wish
No
I
kidding.
could play the blues, but I think that's what we love about the blues. We get the broken-hearted stories, and you have to get through the blues by playing the blues. That's how you get out of it, right? You get to be happy by crying the blues.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Come on, baby.
It's better than seeing a psychologist at $150 an hour.
And there is that.
Whoa,
want to talk a little bit about the show that we're doing? You're opening up for Miss Emily, and you'll have a 4-piece. So tell me, what can we expect to see there on Thursday?
I've got a couple of original tunes in there. Not many. I mean, our set's only going to be about 45 minutes, give or take. It'd be less than an hour. If we go to an hour, I'd be surprised. It's got Al Davis, who was 5 Below Zero here in town for quite a while, on harmonica and vocals. He sings a few tunes as well. Pierre Anthony on bass, who works quite often with Val Pauli in town here. And Tony Santoro also works with Val Pauli and a few other local bands in town. And I got together with them on drums, yes. And he, the thing that struck me when I played, I did some sub gigs with Val Pauli and her band. And the thing that struck me about those two was they sing. And they sing well. So we sat down and started working out harmony parts and so on and so forth. We're doing Lead Belly, Hubie Ledbetter, his real name. We're doing Cotton Fields. And I've got a chorus of Cotton Fields. Rather than just one voice, it's a chorus. And sort of I picked that vibe up from doing the Creedence Clearwater show. And Midnight Special, same thing. Both written by the same character, by the way. For those out in listening land, he wrote Irene Goodnight, of all things. That's the one that got him out of prison. The governor pardoned him because of the song Irene Goodnight. And the story goes that Irene was the name of the governor's wife. I don't know if that's true, but I read it. But you know how stories can get cooked. I'm looking forward to doing the show. One instrumental, a tune called Slide, which you have on that list there. Can't say much more. Hopefully come on out, people, and enjoy the show.
Well, they will.
I'd like to congratulate Johnny Tibbles for being stalwart in as much as just making sure that the blues doesn't die in Sault Ste. Marie. Because the audience is definitely shrinking. We all know that. Everybody's listening to Barbie Girl now, a lot of that generation coming up. And there are some people, young people, that are tuned into the blues and realize that if they want to learn how to be a musician, it's a good place to start. Beyond that, I can't really say very much. I'm looking forward to the show. Hopefully it works well.
I'm sure it will. Mudfoot Mike McDonald, not to be confused with a million other Mike McDonalds.
Yes.
There's only one Mudfoot.
Yeah, there's only one Mudfoot. That's one of the reasons I changed it and decided to go with that because, well, here's a quick story. The Grossman's Tavern was owned by a Chinese family. It started out with Al Grossman, the Grossman's family, and they ran a deli. It was Spadina was the Schmata strip. In other words, the clothing industry. Schmata, that's the Yiddish name for it. And it was bought out by a Chinese family, the Bing Fong family. And there was a Chinese lady at the front by the telephone. And I'm walking in, and she's on the phone, and she's telling the person on the phone. The person on the phone had asked, "Who's playing there tonight?" And she said, "Mike McDonald." Mike McDonald. That's with the Chinese accent, right? And then I got a call back, and it said, "Mike, they're asking for you." And the guy said, "Is Madonna playing there tonight?" I just started laughing at it. No. Like Madonna.
A good one. Okay, sir. Thanks for coming on in, taking us across the tracks.
No.
Teaching us a little bit about the blues.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Mike Mudfoot McDonald, local blues player in the beautiful city of Sault Ste. Marie, and you'll be able to catch my music on the Borderline. Like you to come on out for the Miss Emily show on May the 2nd. Hope to see you there. Take care.
Mudfoot Mike and the Muckrakers, opening for Miss Emily on Thursday, May 2nd at Sioux Blaster. Tickets available at the door and several fine outlets all across the Sioux. Presented by the Sioux Blues Society. We've gone across the tracks. This has been a Borderline Entertainment production.